Hello everyone. Today we'll be discussing another investment option, that is private equities. Private equity is one type of a private equity fund is one type of a investment avenue. But before we discuss what is private equity fund, we need to discuss what is private equities. So, private equity is a capital invested in unlisted companies. Investors of private equity funds invest fund into companies which may be unlisted for specific purpose, such as can be related to financing acquisitions or financing a new project. So, private equity fund is an investment scheme which investments are made into unlisted equities, what we just now we discussed. So, the fund in form of limited partnership and the investment into equity are held for the period of 10 years and so on. And the firm managing private equity funds usually launch new schemes, and accordingly there will be fresh fund which will be coming into. So these are the things what we are discussing about private equity, where the investment is made in unlisted companies, and it can be the investment which is held for a longer period of time. The time period is 10 years, and at the same time there are number of schemes which are available under private equity funds. There are number of the few number of exit options also, and because of that, in a way it will make the operations little complicated. So moving further with the characteristics of private equity fund, here basically we are discussing three main features of private equity. First one is fund invested. The private equity funds need to be invested in unlisted companies for a specific purpose. So, as a result, the investment involved are high, and so the private equity funds investors, they are required to invest large sum of money. So this is the fund invested, what they are going to invest the fund that should be of large amount. That is the first feature of private equity. The second feature says about liquidity. The private equity funds are invested for longer period of time. It is 10 years. So these funds cannot be traded, and the interest can be transferred to another investor. So as a result, the invest the private equity funds have they have low liquidity. It is kept for a longer period of time. At the same time, uh, it cannot be traded, so the liquidity is very low in case of private equity. Third feature, third feature says about risk. Private equity investments has high amount of risk. And this is because there are few exit routes available, and the given nature of funds are could be uh, risk of loss of entire investment. There is a chance of losing the whole amount. For example, think that the investment is done in technology. So, whatever investment is done in a technology for a company may generate loss because of outdated uh, because of getting outdated, and at the same time new technologies may come and take that place. So this has the risk of losing the entire investment also, and it says about higher risk related to private equities. Moving further with components of private equities. So private equity instruments includes three different components, that is private equity investors, private equity fund, and private equity firm. Let us discuss one by one each component. Private equity investors, uh, they are the high net worth individuals, banks, institutions, or large corporations. And in case of limited partners in the fund, they incur the financial risk but not any liability which is attached to them. In a present trend, the private equities are showing the higher yield comparing to the traditional investment. So many players nowadays, they are shifting into the private equities rather than the traditional investments which are available. The second components we are discussing is private equity fund. Private, private equity fund, that is managed by the general partner who is the equity firm manager and limited partnership. The fund managed by the general partner based on their partnership agreement, and uh, the different terms, the fees or the liabilities, and any other specifications, all the rules and regulations terms which will be mentioned in their deed, and accordingly uh, it is permitted to invest manage with the investment procedure. And third component which is available is private equity firm. Private equity firm is also known as uh, the general partner of private equity fund, and they manage the investment, and also return to the investors also agreed as per their partnership agreement. And the private equity firms has unlimited liability for the obligations and debt of the investors, but at the same time it also has strong control over investment decisions, and as it acts like an intermediary between the investors with the capital and the firms. It is also a situation where there is more growth. So this is all about the components of the private equity investment, that which includes private equity investors, private equity fund, and private equity firm which acts like an intermediate. Thank you.